Good afternoon, everyone. We'll call the City Council meeting for the City of Indio closed session, part of our agenda to order. Can I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Ortiz,
Present.
Councilmember, Councilmember Furman,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Holmes,
Present.
and Mayor Miller.
Present.
And for the record, Councilmember Guitron is absent.
Thank you very much. With that, we'll move on to item number 2, which is public comment. Do we have anybody in the queue that would like to speak?
None, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Then we'll move on to item number 3, which is our one closed session item, which is conference with legal counsel anticipated litigation. Significant exposure to litigation pursuant to section 54956.9, one claim, the Polo Club Maintenance Association. With that, we will adjourn to closed session.
Oh.
afternoon, everyone. I'm going to call the City Council meeting to order for the City of Indio at 4 o'clock. We're a little early today. We have our concert in our center stage that starting after the City Council meeting. So all are welcome to come and enjoy some great music right behind us in our center stage. With that, if we could have roll call, please.
Councilmember Huitron.
Present.
Councilmember Ortiz.
Present.
Councilmember Furman.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Holmes.
Present.
And Mayor Miller.
Present. And this time, if you'd mind rising, our very own Councilman Ben Gutron is going to do our invocation. We have a very special person going to do our flag salute.
All in prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us today together as we have a meeting that we all come together and make decisions for the betterment of our community, and also be glad with all the festivities going on this weekend and the following weekends, our festivals, our festival tonight, that everyone enjoys them and understands the hard work our community does everything to make this special, a great experience for all. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. And now we have a special person going to do our flag salute. Scarlett Nava from Amelia Earhart Elementary School. Scarlett Nava is a vibrant fifth grader at Amelia Earhart Elementary. At school, she actively participates in ASB and several after-school performance clubs where enthusiasm and creativity shine. Well known for her passion for art, Scarlett is an aspiring artist who also enjoys reading, camping, and playing sports in her free time. Please, welcome.
Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We got a nice little swag bag.
Also want to give a shout out to her mother, Miss Nava, who was my U.S. history teacher in high school.
Wow. We got a swag bag for you so you can make the other students jealous.
Thanks.
At this time, we're going to bring up George Cunningham from Golden Voice to say a few words. Mr. Cunningham and Mr. Folds with him. Thank you for coming. Give us a report on the concerts.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thanks for allowing us to come speak. Obviously, I'm here before you on representing Golden Voice. My name is George Cunningham. I'm the SVP of Public Safety for Golden Voice. And this past weekend, just coming forward to apologize for the mishap and the traffic challenges that we had in your community and the surrounding communities, and the challenges that we faced last weekend. We have had detailed meetings with many different departments and all our entities, La Quinta and all the surrounding Coachella Valley cities, and our partners with the Indio PD, playing a vital role in those changes that we are proposing to implement moving forward this coming weekend, as well as Stagecoach. I'm happy to continue into details on some of those high-level changes to provide some insight, but I assure you today, this afternoon, early afternoon, we had a roundtable meeting with our Indio PD partners, La Quinta, and other cities surrounding the area to really go through those details and vet that process. And we feel very confident that tomorrow morning, come sunup, you will see a significant difference in the traffic on your community, neighboring streets, and impacting the community.
It's a pleasure of the council. Would you like to hear some of the details, or are we fine?
Yeah.
They'd like to hear a couple if we could.
Fantastic.
And we've had 25 years of working with your organization and all the ones around us, and You know, we've had a few hiccups here and there, but you've always responded and made sure that whenever that comes to your attention, that you work with our staff and you work with the community to make a difference, and we thank you for that. So as soon as it came to your attention, we know that you started to work diligently on making sure that traffic was minimized, and everybody got in, and we had a great concert, so I'm looking forward to the changes.
Super. Thank you very much. Yeah, let me first start off by saying that this is not a one-headed monster. This takes every single entity that is part of this public safety operations to make this work. So all of us work in unison, and that's the only way that we can get this to work. So the changes that you will be seeing this coming weekend, starting tomorrow, will be that we are opening up an additional toll plaza, not toll booth. We're opening up 12 additional toll booths out of our 2A location, which we're calling our northern entry point now. So for the past 25 years, you've only seen one location processing all the vehicles, which was 32 lanes of processing. Now we are adding an additional 12 lanes to that to process it. We're expecting to, on a camping processing into that toll, we'll be able to process somewhere between 32 to 3,500 vehicles. Once the camping element fills up on that northern end, we will continue to process vehicles through that northern area and funnel them in another entry point into the venue. So at no given point in time, if we still feel the pressure in the community through our communication and unified command and all the entities in the field, we will be able to keep that process moving the entire day until we have the streets alleviated from the pressures that you receive from all our campers coming to the event.
Any questions, comments?
I'll have comments after the presentation. Please.
Continue?
Yeah.
With that, we expect to have about 9.5 miles of vehicle traffic alleviated through this processing. So that process will start off at the exact same time that we start our 13 toll plazas. So it will be in conjunction at the same point in time that 13 opens up, that 2A will open up. We communicate to the public that our toll plazas open up at 9 a.m. in the morning. We are obviously prepped and ready well before that time, and we will be ready to open up the toll plazas well before that time to accept people. That's the high-level information for the operation that we have at hand. We will be planning on implementing something very similar at Stagecoach the following weekend. We still have some intricacies to figure out for that festival due to the trailer sizes, the RVs that come for that event. As we all know that it's all sedans and SUVs for Coachella and the opposite for Stagecoach. I'm happy to take any questions now.
Any questions?
Very quick one.
Mr. Ortiz?
You mentioned in the past we've always had those 32 lanes open, and we're going to be adding an additional 12. How many of those were open on Thursday morning?
We had 26 of them open. We were short 6 of those lanes due to staffing challenges we had with our partner. We've made process changes for this coming tomorrow morning in the wee hours in the morning to make sure that we have all those staffed and ready.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Mr. Gutron? Lane?
First of all, thank you very much for being here. We've had such a great relationship for so many years, and so we really appreciate your being here, explaining this to everyone. It has been a great relationship, and I thank you for this. I know everything's going to be wonderful and smooth as it has been every single year. So thank you so much for your patience. I appreciate everything that you're doing to alleviate some of the challenges that happen that weren't even planned. I'm sure we'll be able to move forward. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Furman?
Yeah. I echo those sentiments. We appreciate your work. Appreciate what Golden Voice is doing. And I think sometimes we have to step back and understand from the first Coachella that hit the city of Indio to now, there's been a multitude of changes. We've metamorphosed big time from road improvements to infrastructure, public safety, the size, the amount of people that come here. So there's always going to be changes. And we have to understand, too, the events that happened and the challenges that happened this last year, they were something that just sprouted up. It's not planned, and sometimes we have to prepare for things that might happen. And so the appreciation comes from you coming here and going to our neighboring cities and explaining what's happening to alleviate those issues. And that's always the concern, is what can we do to make this better? And I know even for next year, you guys are already going to start planning for that. So we appreciate that too, because we want to welcome folks into our community. Everyone benefits from this, not just the city of Indio. The state of California benefits from Coachella Music and Arts Festival. But when you have a large amount of people in a community like this, it comes with challenges. I mean, we're still working on our short-term ordinances. We're still working on public safety. We're working on getting people fed. So, like you said, it is a collaborative effort, and the council is here for support. And any support that the Golden Voice needs from us to make this event another successful event, we're here. So I appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Catron?
Well, I have the privilege of having history. I have
Yes,
the
you
privilege
do.
of being there since the first concert. I have the privilege of getting to know Bill Fold when he finally came on the team, and Skip Page when Paul Tillett came before us to have this infamous, well-known Pearl Jam concert. And we realized then it was a game changer. And we knew then that we would eventually be where we're at now. If it wasn't such a successful, well-known, worldwide event, probably traffic would probably be easier. But we've learned to adjust. We've learned to have staff like Jim Curtis out there being the community liaison when I used to do that. We realized that we needed to expand our public safety, not just for the growth of the city. That's literally right now over 100,000 people. Besides, on top of that, the concert, we're over 200, probably 230,000 in our community. Indio benefits greatly, but we still have a responsibility to our residents and businesses. And I know personally for a fact when those issues come up to the table, they're discussed. They're not just shelved away and put away. I know personally the sacrifices that are done by the organization, the promoters as yourselves, and also our public safety and our resources, and the changes to the community. It's an adjustment. When things come up, we tend to act quick to try to troubleshoot it. So I feel confident in what you're saying, and I appreciate you paying attention to the immediate residents in our city and addressing it, because we still have a workforce working on Thursdays and Fridays, and then things tend to line up on the weekends a little bit. But we understand that. We have a good relationship. I know personally it's 35 days straight for our public safety. 35 days straight. Besides what you folks do in your organization. So there's commitment. Nothing's taken lightly. I know that personally. And I thank you for taking the time. I thank you for coming up here and explaining. That means a lot, because probably other organizations, they just move on. And not here, because you're committed to working with the community. And I greatly appreciate that, because I personally have that knowledge. So thank you.
Thank you. I'll make sure to pass on the thanks to the team.
Mr. Cunningham, thank you for coming and explaining to us. We cherish our partnership with Golden Voice and all the agencies that help us to make this such a success for not only the city of Indio, but the Coachella Valley as a whole. You know, it's worldwide recognition, and we do appreciate all you do. And thank you for coming and giving us the information that we need to know that you're going to take care of this issue coming forward. And so thank you very much. Bill, thank you for coming, and we appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day. Look forward to 2 amazing concerts. All right, with that, we'll move on to our city attorney report from
Thank you,
closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I do have one reportable action item. Council voted 5-0 in closed session to deny the claim of the Polo Club Association. That claim was made by Michael Kennedy, and we received it on March 4th. And that's my report.
Thank you. City Attorney. With that, we'll move on to item 5 now, which are presentations, and we have quite a few. We have 3 proclamations and one 9/11 very special memorial painting that we'll be talking about. We have a proclamation in recognition of retirement of Mr. Tony Williams, who was the Director of Operations for the Boys and Girls Club and also the lead pastor for Love of Christ Community Church. But I don't see Pastor Williams here. Did we have an opportunity? I know he's at church. He might not have recognized that it was 4 o'clock instead of 5. So if he does come, you know, we will look and see. If not, we will go to the church and present it to him there at the church. I'll bring him back up if he comes back. With that, we're going to move on to item number 5.2 now, which is the proclamation for National Public Safety Telecommunications Communicators, Week for April 13th through the 19th in 2025. Mr. Gutron and the council, would you like to come down with me? This is a special part for us. It's our dispatchers and all those who continue to support our line staff, our public safety, our fire, police, and everyone else. So very special. Thank you for bringing this to our attention, and we look forward to presenting this. And do we have the proclamation? Thank you. And in honor of Mr. Gutron's service to the city of Indio and your many years of service, I would like to have you actually present this on behalf of the city council, and everyone involved. And thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. City of Indio Proclamation for National Public Safety Telecommunicators, week of April 13th and 19th, 2025. Whereas the safety and well-being of the citizens of Indio are of utmost importance, and whereas the public safety dispatchers serve as the critical link between the residents and distress and emergency response teams, ensuring timely and effective communication in times of crisis, and whereas the dedicated dispatchers of the Indio Police Department work tirelessly as the first responders, providing life-saving assistance and steadfast support to law enforcement, fire, emergency medical services, and whereas National Public Safety Telecommunicators Weekly, initially established in 1981 by Patricia Anderson of the Contra Costa County Sheriff's Department, in the annual event that recognizes and honors the invaluable contributions of public safety dispatchers, and whereas these professionals work behind the scenes 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, answering emergency calls, dispatching first responders, and providing critical guidance to those in need. And where it is fitting that we set aside this week to formally acknowledge the commitment, professionalism, dedication of the Indio Police Department dispatchers who play an essential role in ensuring the safety and security of our community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Glenn Miller, Mayor of the City of Indio and Council, along with the Indio Council, to hereby proclaim April 13th through the 19th, 2025, as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week, and the City of Indio encourage all residents to join in expressing their gratitude for the invaluable service to our public safety dispatchers. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Indio as it fixed on the 16th day of April 2025. Come here. Just be, as Victor's coming down here, being a member of the department for 40 years and spending some time in dispatch myself, helping to cover so dispatchers can go get a lunch break, you have to understand that when they're there behind the mic, it's everything from I don't know how to cook my turkey to everything my baby can't breathe, and therefore it's a very tough job when you're sitting in an enclosed room 24/7 and wondering how the world is because they're operating that world behind the mic. I've always told a dispatcher where I had the privilege of talking to them before they started their job, is that index finger calls for help. That presses the button where an officer needs help because he's under distress or a person is not breathing and need help. Don't take your job lightly. It is a vital, important part of saving people's lives and protecting them. So you are a police dispatcher and we're proud of it.
Thank you, Council. Really appreciate recognizing our dispatchers. Our dispatchers are a crucial role in our organization. They are every officer's lifeline. They're the ones, when you call, first people that you speak to, they represent our city. So I really want to appreciate every one of you, gentlemen and ladies up here. Thank you for all you guys do.
Now, which one of you is speaking on behalf of the dispatchers?
I just want to say thank you for recognizing the hard work of our dispatchers. I know a lot of our community members don't know the work that goes on behind the scenes. You see the handsome guys in the uniforms and the beautiful units and all that stuff, but it's really these gals and guys that get them where they need to go to get you guys the help that you need, and it's just phenomenal to work with them. And thank you, Chief and Council. Thank you.
On behalf of the City Council. Come on. Erica. Once we're getting out of it. There you go. One, two, three. Dispatchers. Thank you.
So much.
Thank you very much.
I'd just like to say that 4 of those dispatchers, including both supervisors, are all homegrown through our youth program from cadets. Now they're professional dispatchers. Oh, we got one more. I'm following you. Thank you, God.
And do we have somebody here from the Autism Association? Come on down if you would, please. Come on down.
We won't bite.
And you have
Yes, for autism
Marisa?
awareness.
Marisa Reyes.
Welcome. And your name is? Marissa. Pleasure. On behalf of the City Council, this was brought by Councilman Furman, and this is a proclamation for Autism Awareness Month. Whereas autism spectrum disorder, ASD, is a complex development condition that affects communication, behavior, and social interaction, and impacts individuals in unique and varied ways. And whereas, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, approximately 1 in 36 children has been identified with autism spectrum disorder, highlighting the importance of understanding, acceptance, and early diagnosis. And whereas individuals with autism are valued members of our community who contribute in meaningful ways to a vibrancy and diversity of the city of Indio, and whereas increasing awareness of autism fosters greater understanding and compassion, helps reduce stigma, and creates a more inclusive society where individuals with autism and their families feel supported and empowered. Whereas Autism Awareness Month is an opportunity to educate the public about autism, promote acceptance, and encourage policies and practices that improve the lives of individuals with autism spectrum. And whereas the City of Indio recognizes the efforts of educators, healthcare professionals, advocates, and organizations working tirelessly to improve outcomes and provide resources for individuals with autism. So on the behalf of the Indio City Council, myself, Glenn Miller, the mayor of the city, we want to recognize Autism Awareness Month on behalf of all our staff and our 100,000 residents. We want to say thank you for all you do and present you with this proclamation.
So we are Key Essentials to Behavior Management. We're right down the street, and we provide behavioral services to clients of different neurodiversities. So we are thrilled to receive this and excited to be a part of this community and continue supporting your residents.
How can we help you?
Inclusion is important. So, yes. Inclusion is important. Opening spaces for our families and their children is really important. Connecting with families. So making sure that at any city event or any kind of plan you guys put together, you're considering how is an individual with autism going to access this service. So something to think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Come place to take a picture. Very important.
Right, anything else?
Yep, faster.
We got the 9/11.
Yep, up we go. And we got the 9/11 memorial where we'll have the chief come up and say a few back and forth. Chief White, would you please come up? Ma'am, would you please come up also? This is a very special thing for us. We're being honored to be able to represent this and have it at our fire station. And I'll let you say a few words, and I'll pass this off to Chief White and what it means to our Indio Fire and Cal Fire Department. And Chief, I'll hand this to you. Let the young lady speak, and we'll go. Yes, sir. The floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you. First, I'd like to say thank you for allowing, is this on?
No, can you turn it off?
Thank you. Thank you to the council members for allowing me to come in and present this painting to our first responders. I must say, this is the first time, this has been traveling for almost 10 years from fire station to fire station, other than during COVID, that I actually realized that our first responders include dispatchers. I've never even thought about that. And from this point on, they will be included every time this painting goes around to another station. I'm going to take the cover off of it. And whoops, well, it used to be awesome.
Little buff.
Yes. Let me just tell you the story behind this. After 9/11, and we all hopefully remember because it's something we must never, ever forget. And a lot of the firefighters and first responders are too young to even have been there or have known about what was going on other than hearing it from person to person. So we're trying to just keep that memory alive so that we never forget. But the way this began was after 9/11, an artist, not myself, I'm not the artist, I'm the owner of the painting. An artist was commissioned to do a painting to raise money for the families of the fallen firefighters. She did this, and this was the painting. And as you can see, you've got the Twin Towers going down in the back, the tattered flag. We don't know what he was thinking. And it was auctioned off, and it brought $26,000. And back then, that was really a lot of money. And a restaurateur in Chicago purchased it. And he hung it in the restaurant, but it made everybody so sad that he returned it to the artist. But he was happy with the donation. She held on to it for years and years, and then about 10 years ago, she decided to raise money for canine companions and the veterans. And there was a big art auction. I was present at that auction, and I purchased it. I didn't spend $26,000 for it, but I bought it and I brought it to my house. And once I had it in my house, I looked at it and said, this does not belong to me. This belongs to the people. And what am I going to do? How am I going to handle this? Well, the most important people for all of us are you. Our first responders. You're always there. And you need recognition not only when there's terrible things happening and you're called out, but just during the year to say thank you. So I started the journey of the traveling 9/11 memorial painting, and it began in San Diego, and it goes from fire station to fire station for 3 months so that you can enjoy it, bring people to see it, whatever you want to do. Some towns have taken it to the station, some have put it in their police department areas, whatever. So after traveling through San Diego, it now is beginning, because I'm in La Quinta more than half the year, it's now beginning to travel through Riverside County. First stop was La Quinta on 9/11, then we went to Palm Desert, and now you have it here in Indio. And I hope that you will appreciate it and enjoy it and keep the memory alive. Along with the painting, there is a book somewhere. Oh, here we go. This travels with it, and in it is all the different fire stations that it's been to. But more than that, in the back are comments. So please take a moment, And write in a comment, where were you 9/11? What do you think about the painting? What do you see? Anything, just so that it continues to have comments and we continue to travel with it. It's going from here to the Shadow Mountain Fire Station. Shadow Hills Fire Station. And that's where it will be, unless the council wants to put it somewhere else. For the next 3 months, it's yours. And once again, thank you so much for all your service. And I'd love to get a picture with the painting and you guys, if that's possible.
We will make sure that happens. We'll have Chief White say a few words.
So, my name is Brian White. I'm the fire chief of the city of Indio. And on behalf of the men and women of the Indio Fire Service, as well as the Riverside County Fire Department, it is our honor and pleasure to host this painting in one of our fire stations. It is a beautiful painting. It is a great reminder of the sacrifice that happened that day, not only for the 343 firefighters that lost their lives, but the 72 police officers, Port Authority workers, and our partners and our brothers in law enforcement. It was a terrible day, and out of the ashes arose so many good things: patriotism, first responders, both fire and law enforcement, and citizens, standing shoulder to shoulder to solve a problem and the common good. So, terrible day, terrible reminders from that day, but it's a beautiful painting. As I look through the book and I see its travels across San Diego County, and I see so many memories from the fire stations and the firefighters, again, it is just our extreme honor to have this hanging in one of our fire stations, and we invite the community to come by to see it, to share their memories as well, because it affected not just the fire service, it affected everybody. And so thank you very much for this project, for bringing it to our fire station, and we're excited to have it for the next 3 months.
You are welcome. When we first started bringing it around, a gal from San Diego, she was, during the 9/11 time when this happened, she was the president of the New York Psychological Association. And when she found out this was going from station to station, she began to come with me to present it. And what was so interesting was how she would then get all our first responders kind of in a circle and be able to talk to them, because it's so important for all of you to keep the stuff in the front of your mind and not forget everything that you see and everything that you happen. One of the things that was so sad about this is in Rancho Santa Fe, there was a fire captain there that was at 9/11, and he passed away because of, residuals from that. Yeah, we just, once again, must never forget, and I want to once again take this opportunity to say thank you. And I mean that, and I know everybody means that.
Thank you. I don't know what we could add on to either one of you. Very elegantly said, very, very respectful in terms of what it means to just not only the individuals involved, but also our nation. So many of us were there in that time, and so many of them here haven't been. So you're right, we should never forget the sacrifices all those individuals did by running into those buildings to save lives and lost their own. So it's just heartbreaking, but at the same time, thank you for letting us have this painting to have everybody remember. Any other council members like to say anything? Let's bring that picture over and we'll have it brought in.
Oh, okay. Take the whole easel. Take the whole easel, just from here to there. Yeah, whichever you can do.
Figure our way around this. see a little bit, move over and address this thing. There you go. Accept it. Perfect, thank you. You can't put it on the bed in the ambulance and just let it ride with you?
Oh, here's a cover for it. Fit right on top of it.
That's an emotional thing. Holy cow.
Oh, that goes with you. That goes with the painting. Yeah. So it's just flat on.
Looks like we might get a little dance.
No, there's escaramuzas. The horse riding team.
Oh,
Neat.
never mind.
Oh, I love that.
They've been going to all the cities. One of them is well, two of them are nieces.
Oh,
I didn't know they were gonna come.
how neat. Oh, I love this.
All righty. Well, thank you to all of you. That's amazing. Thank you again for the painting to allow us to honor you. But what a great day way to start this day. And so we'll move on to item number 6 now with the Youth Advisory Council. Aiden, are you handling this for us?
So, good evening, Mayor Miller and esteemed City Council members. My name is Aiden Chavez, and I serve as the Mayor Pro Tem for the Indio Youth Advisory Council. I would like to begin by thanking Mayor Miller for inviting YAC to assist at the Veterans Expo. It was an honor to help the Coachella Valley Rescue Mission feed our veterans and give back to those who have served our country. I'd also like to invite everyone to our upcoming mental health hike on Saturday, May 17th at 7 a.m. at Indio Badlands. This is part of our efforts to promote mental wellness among youth and the border community. Lastly, YAC members will be heading to Chella following tonight's meeting. Chella is a free community concert hosted by the City of Indio at Center Stage, held between both Coachella weekends. It is a great example how our city creates inclusive, family-friendly events that reflect our local culture and talent. This concludes my report, and thank you.
Thank you for helping our veterans. That was great that you guys were out there. We had 500 veterans, Veterans Expo at the Salvation Army in Cathedral City, bringing all the vital services to our veterans and active duty military. And there was a little over 500 of them, and our Youth Advisory Council fed them all lunch and that, and provided them with some great smiles and some stories. So thank you very much for all you do. Would you like to stay, or do you guys want to already head out to Chella? It's up to you. You don't want me to decide for you. Yay or nay?
Decisions by committee.
We would like to go.
No. I would have gone too, but that's just me. Thank you. Enjoy Chella. Thank you for all you do. Can't miss out on a free concert. Mr. Montgomery?
Thank you, Mayor. As mentioned, 6 o'clock, we have Chella downtown. I had a great event over the weekend, Echo Lounge, where we hosted yoga and all the way through to live performances from Coachella. Thanking again the first responders that were here. Councilmember Gautran mentioned as well that behind the scenes at the concerts, there are a lot of moving parts, and we have a lot of the team that's a part of that, particularly the public safety, and frankly, Chief Tolley leads that, so we want to thank him again. Also behind the scenes, we're working feverishly to present a budget to you for the next fiscal year. So the next City Council meeting, we'll be ready to do that, and our finance director's going to be able to have it all ready and in the black. I had red on my mind because she has a red jacket on.
Yeah.
It's going to be in the black. We're doing fine, and we'll present that at the next meeting in a study session format.
Thank God the press is gone.
Yeah. That was a big one.
Thank you, Mr. Montgomery. With that, we'll move on to item number 8 is the City Council conflict of interest disclosures. Does anybody have any conflicts that they need to disclose? Not that. Thank you very much. We'll move on to item 9 now, which is the City Council reports on meetings attended for Government Code Section 53232.3D. Mr. Gutron.
Well, I have a couple of items. I attended on the 5th of April the Valley Sanitation District Open House. Mayor Pro Tem Elaine Holmes was there as well. We both enjoyed an opportunity to appreciate the sanitation district for, well, this year will be 100 years of service. It actually will be in November. And it's really nice to see an agency that takes care of us in more than one way or the other. It's a great facility, and it's part of the quality of health. They also have a really good relationship with our water department and good partnerships with other members of our city. And so made a lot of good compliments about our general manager. Mr. Trejo, are you here, sir? Thank you. So that was really nice, and I was impressed on what they're doing. So the other one is the unfortunate experience of losing someone in our community, and everybody's important. But when you have a gentleman that gave so much, I had the honor of attending the services of John Carmona Jr., 89 years of homegrown, graduate of CB High, served his country in Army Airborne, was a very active member of the community, specifically with, obviously, our American Legion and Veterans of Foreign Wars. And along with that, involved with Our Lady of Perpetual Health Church in a lot of the sports. I had the opportunity to attend school with 2 of his boys, and it was humble, very nice man, committed to our community, and it was an honor to be there at their services at OPH, and was laid to rest at our cemetery, Valley Cemetery District. And so, other than that, I wanted to just have an honorable respect mention of him. I also had the opportunity, I was invited and attended the Cover Track neighborhood community. Obviously, it's an area of the county between the city of Coachella and Indio, but it's nice to see the improvements that the county is doing. The county supervisor, Manuel Perez, and staff in the county doing a lot. And it's a concern because it's a quality of life for those folks as well. And they're our neighbor. And obviously, we've helped them out with water issues. And obviously, water is it's the new gold of California is water. It's important to us. But it's nice to see that our city has in relationship with our neighbors like we do with the city of Coachella. But it's nice to see that community where it was a septic tank service, now it has full sanitation service. They're trying to improve their water. They have the same challenges we do with water. But it's nice to see that streets are being paved. The alleyways that were dirt when that place was built, they're trying to just do away with the alleyways. And finally having street lights. But it benefits us as a neighbor right now because we have a very important school and a lot of improvement that's been done in that area with the Farm Labor Center. And obviously we have the Coachella Valley Rescue Mission there. But it was just nice to see what's being done that benefits us as the neighbor. Other than that, that's all I have to report at this time.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gutron. Mr. Ortiz?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you all for joining us for our City Council meeting. I first just want to say thank you to our staff and our first responders for all of their hard work behind the scenes, for all of our residents and guests as we host these festivals and go through all the challenges. But we really appreciate all the efforts in fixing those challenges that we've seen during the past week and helping us get ready for this next week coming up. I had one meeting with the Coachella Valley Association of Governments Conservation Commission. We talked about some of the cuts to fire prevention funding from the federal government to Coachella Valley Mountains Conservancy. We also talked about $500,000 that we received for trash removal throughout the desert. So we still have a lot of illegal dumping going on in our natural lands. So that $500,000 will be going to those cleanups around the region. We also have our ranger program that's going to be moving forward. That's going on with Desert Recreation District, and they're expecting the first deployments of that to be January of 2026. Again, that's to control some of those illegal dumping sites, but also illegal trails and other disturbances that we see on our natural lands. I also attended the CVAG Energy and Sustainability Commission. We talked about some of the air quality issues that we've seen since Hurricane Hillary came through, and talk to the Air Quality Management District about how we're tracking the different pollutants that we see here in our region. We also had Southern California Air Quality Management District come in to talk about some of the regulations they're proposing for gas appliances. So they're looking at adding some fees to gas appliances to fund rebates for electric appliances. And their goal there is to clean up indoor air quality for our families here. Some of the concerns that we relayed to the South Coast Air Quality Management District was that, especially for our low-income residents, this would bring up the price of their gas appliances if they can't afford the electric appliances. So we're kind of not providing really good avenues for our residents to be able to keep up with those costs. And so we're asking them to rethink some of those and work with us to provide some better solutions for our residents that they can afford and can implement without being affected too much financially. At the Inland Regional Energy Network, we are applying for 5 more years of funding, so we're getting ready for that application. We have decided to continue with our current programs and continue funding those. We're kind of ramping up to be able to get this $65 million that come in for these 5 years out to our community, and we believe we're getting to that point where we're being more efficient with that money and getting that out to communities. We've put in fellows in a lot of cities. We've had 25 fellows over the past 2 years, so these are free staff members that come into different cities and help these cities apply for the funds at IREN and bring those dollars down and provide energy efficiency programs for public buildings. And also we're providing trainings and other things for businesses and for our cities to keep up with the energy efficiency codes and regulations at the state level. And lastly, I visited the vector and mosquito district here locally to see how they're controlling the mosquito populations throughout the region. Some of that's through the use of larvicides, which go after the larvae of the mosquitoes before they are born. We also see some new technologies being used. Are drones in very vast areas. They're able to distribute some of these larvicides using drones and different mapping tools. Also off-road vehicles for any of these hard to reach places, including some of the wetlands that we see around the Salton Sea, and also the use of mosquito fish in different ponds that will eat up all these mosquitoes before they spread through our community. So I just want to thank them for having me and showing me some of their laboratory spaces and some of their techniques so that we can keep that in mind as we move forward in the city of Indio. And that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Ortiz. Mr. Furman?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I had a couple of meetings and attended a couple of events. I did have a Visit Greater Palm Springs meeting, and we had a very good speaker, Carolyn Beteta from Visit California, and she talked about some of the trends with tourism and the hospitality industry and how the Coachella Valley is a good model, especially for the hospitality industry with our educational system, how we're supporting that. And she also talked about some of the efforts, continuing efforts going on to work with our Canadian partners to continue to welcome them in to our country, specifically California. California still has one of the biggest economies in the world, and a lot of that is supported by tourism. And the Coachella Valley is a big part of that, and we're witnessing it right now with our festivals. So that was a pretty good meeting, very informative. I did also attend a homelessness committee meeting this morning. One of the noticeable items we talked about was the Palm Springs Fusion Center is coming up on its 1-year anniversary, and we're very appreciative of that navigation system that provides wraparound services for the Western Coachella Valley specifically. But as we know, some of our unsheltered population, migrate through the valley, and for so many years, Indio picked up the run of that, and it's good that since Roy's has closed in Palm Springs, they have another center in Palm Springs. And so the other thing about that is it provides transitional housing. It provides housing for families as well while they're trying to get on their feet, find employment, find jobs, and also for some of those special cases that people can't integrate with certain individuals as well. So hats off and congratulations to Palm Springs for continuing to collaborate in the spirit of getting folks back on their feet. And we also had a presentation by staff giving a presentation on one-time payments for landlords a new program that just will continue to enhance and help alleviate some of the affordable housing issues. And so we have landlords, we want to provide some sort of incentive for them to, take in some of these families who are having a hard time finding housing, especially affordable housing. And we had actually an in-depth conversation about affordable housing. And I mentioned to the committee that when we talk about affordable housing, we have to keep in the back of our mind that we need to look at affordable living situations, right? Because if we build affordable housing complex out in the middle of nowhere, away from schools, away from stores, away from churches, people now have to get in their vehicle. They have to spend money on gas. They have to drive everywhere. So we want to continue to provide some of these services and housing in areas where people have those everyday life amenities that we need to survive. And so it was a pretty good conversation with that. Also, as Councilmember Ortiz mentioned, I also attended the Coachella Valley Mosquito Vector District open house. I was fascinated. This is one of those services that we don't see often. They're working in the weeds, right? Fighting mosquitoes and red fire ants and rodents and things like that. And I was amazed with some of the technology that they're using now, the drone technology, some of the organic pesticides that they use to alleviate some of these problems. And then the technology behind the house, right? A lot of times when we think about mosquitoes or vector control, we're thinking about them just going out spraying. There's so much technology and education going on behind the scenes, how they work on the preventative side, with the male and female mosquito, and which one actually bites and which one makes the eggs and the larvae, right? And I have to give kudos to the Vector District for getting out there and talking to our kids, talking to our students. And because that's who pushes that on our families to not have that sitting water outside in our ponds and just have those areas so we can prevent these mosquitoes from growing. And perfect example, I was explaining to my 9-year-old about what I seen today at the Vector Control with the mosquitoes and some of the demonstrations. And before I could even finish what I was saying, she cut me off and she continued what I was saying, because Vector goes to the schools and they do career days and they do demonstrations and they teach the students about mitigation of those mosquitoes. So hats off to them. Before I conclude, I also want to recognize someone who's very important in our community, Darla Burkett. She is our director at the Coachella Valley Rescue Mission. She's going to be retiring here soon, but she's done amazing work in our valley in respects to unsheltered people and families. And she's going to stay with the mission for a few months during the transition. But I just want to show our appreciation for her, because we all know that working with that community, it's an ongoing effort, and she's been at it for a long time, and it takes a special person to do that kind of work. And I also want to give a shout out to Tony Romero and Food Truck Fridays. I went this past Friday. They had a Tejano band there. Mm-hmm. They were excellent. They were great. It was a lot of people. It was packed. And also Saturday, the farmers market. So we have these things going on in our community that are just great, and they're family friendly, and hope to see you guys out. And that completes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Furman. Can you get us Darla's information so we can recognize her with a proclamation for her many years of service of helping support the city of Indio and those in need?
Yeah, talk about someone with heart. I mean, she put her whole heart and soul into that. She made it what it is today, and she really provides a tremendous service to all those people. So I'm sorry to hear that. I wish her well, but I'm so sorry to hear that. Okay, so thank you, Mayor. Just a few things. I had the CVAG, Coachella Valley Association of Governments Transportation meeting. A couple of things, interestingly enough, with everything that went on this past weekend, one of the topics of conversation is something called CV Sync, which is really setting up all of the signals on the main arteries, really Highway 111, Washington, some of the main areas, Fred Waring, in terms of signal synchronization. I actually said that. And so they cited the fact that during the tennis matches, there were 504,000 people in attendance over 2 weeks, and that traffic management was flawless. So let's bring it to the concerts. So apparently they had a traffic office there, and they were working on it and really applying some of the technologies to some of the challenges that we were having. I'll just leave it at that. The next thing we talked about was honestly, a not to exceed amount of $2.1 million that we approved for construction management services related to CV Sync. Again, that whole signal synchronization process along Avenue 50, so that, realistically at some point in time, this entire valley will operate instead of each independent city will be able to operate, and traffic will be able to flow very smoothly, no matter what part of the desert that you're in. So that's super important. Indio is adding broadband. We already knew that. That's an important part of our community. Let's see, and then we talked about CV Link. Most of the communities have CV Link up and running. Some of it's still under construction, and we had the conversation about extending it to the Salton Sea. So lots of good stuff going on to better our communities as a whole here in the desert. It was nice to attend the Valley Sanitary Open House with Councilmember Goutron. We actually went on a tour, and the technology that's used was really fascinating and very, very interesting. So happy to have the chance to do that. I think all of us attended the ribbon cutting at Studio B, state-of-the-art from a technology perspective studio here in Indio over at Smurf. So great to have them here in our community. Let's see, what else did I have here? Yeah, Echo Lounge. I have received so many comments about how great that was for years, and I think, Mayor, you're probably have been here, well, you've been here longer than I have, and we've had the conversation, and you don't look a day over 30. Now, we've had the conversation about live streaming the concerts for years, and we've all brainstormed, how do we do this? How do we bring the concerts, the festivals to our local community? Do we live stream? We've talked about Fantasy Springs. We've talked about all kinds of locations. And it's really nice to have that on that one Saturday here in our city, in our community. And I think that will grow, and as word gets out to our community that this is the place to come and hang out to do live streaming. And, I have to tell you, it would be my wish that we could live stream every single night of the festivals, because I think that would just be tremendous to our community that doesn't get out to there. I think that's very important. Let's see, what else? Strategic planning. We're all at a strategic planning session, right? So we have, for the last 4 years, embarked on a very ambitious strategic planning, and you see the fruits of that effort by staff here in our community, and everybody notices where we're going. We notice everything from the signage to the businesses to how we treat our businesses, so many areas. And so now it's time to do another planning session so that we can chart our growth for the next 5 years. So hold on tight. It's going to be another ride. It's going to be very, very positive for the growth in our community and really looking at the kinds of services that we can continue to provide our community. Everybody talked about the concerts, and thank you, Mayor. That is the end of my commentary.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and thank all of you for your continued support of our city and all these commissions. I had a couple of committees that were active. One was the Coachella Valley Animal Campus, which is the group of JPA to work on the issues with animal control in our Coachella Valley, and it is quite a quagmire. It's the first meeting I ever went to is they're talking about funding, how they can work on non-killing shelters and money, and all came down to money is what it really came down to, and philosophy. So that's going to be a long-term process. It's a little over a $30 million budget just for the county of Riverside in our area, from what I'm told. And that's just to control the animals from spade and neutering to sheltering to taking care of them. And there's different philosophies on who should pay for what and where they should go and how they could do a shelter on the east side of the valley so that they don't bring the animals from Thermal Mecca area and have one out there, expand to one in Thousand Palms, do some more nonprofits. So stay tuned because it's going to be a very rocky ride because neither one of the sides see eye to eye on this. And so we'll get to what's best for the animals, but it's going to take a little bit of getting together. Steve Sanchez from La Quinta and Nia from Palm Desert wanted to do a JPA where we would all fund it through the cities for extra work, and that was shot down through the rest of the members. And it was to do a study based on what was needed and have the county pay for it. And one, it was illegal, but two, there was not enough votes there. So I'll keep you up to date on the animal campus as it goes forward. That was my first meeting, and it was quite a long, it was a little over 3.5 hours just to go. So. And then we did our city council strategic planning workshop, and I want to thank city manager and all our staff. It was all the city council, all our departments heads there, really the council on this part, doing what we wanted to do over the next 5 years. We had 159 objectives we wanted to do in our planning from the last 5 years, and we did like 125 of them. It was some unbelievable amount. But that's the process that you see going throughout the city. And what it is it's our strategic plan for the next 5 years, what we want to accomplish, what our staff wants to accomplish. And right after we met, the staff department heads met with the people that were helping us to put it all together. And hopefully we'll be able to bring that to you and give you some ideas and thoughts and what we're going to do for the next 5 years and how we're going to accomplish it. So thank you, city manager and everyone, for your work on that. Pueblo Viejo, a couple of us there, Mayor Pro Tem, Councilmember Ortiz, Councilmember Gutron, and I know that Councilmember Furman's been there. Yep, he was there right after us, but Pueblo Viejo celebrated 20 years, one of our iconic restaurants out here, great food. Alba and her team had a nice event, hosted a mariachi band and all kinds of opportunities for people to say hello and come by, and there was people from all over the Coachella Valley and other areas that came in from Blythe and that just to say hello and congratulate them. So we want to thank them for hosting their 20th anniversary and inviting us all there. We had a couple ribbon cuttings. One was Desert Hose and Supplies, which is a high-end hose manufacturer out of Gulf Center Parkway. They provide all the hoses for our fire departments, all our agriculture and that, and they had their grand opening. Well received while we was there. Over 40 people came in while we were doing the ribbon cutting alone, just to get hoses custom made that are keeping our agricultural and business industries moving. So congratulations to them. Studio B right here on Smurf Street, who's a high-end mixing and sound recording studio basically that mixes together. They had some high-end artists. They're world-renowned from the work they do with the artists they work with, and it's right here in downtown Indio. And so we wanted to thank them for coming to the city of Indio and bringing that service to us. It just helps with our music vibe and what we're trying to do downtown. So, and you know, we have Cella after this. We want to thank Golden Voice for hosting again this year. So we'll have free music at our center stage, exactly what we wanted that to be. And our host, Golden Voice, has brought some of the acts that are playing over at Coachella to do some music for us. Right after the city council meeting, we'll be heading there. And then lastly, I was part of the National Crime Victims Rights Week Vigil that's hosted by our DA Hestron. It's basically reading the names of people that were violently hurt or murdered from people that did not deserve it. And the DA's been reading the names of all the victims in Riverside County for the last almost 20-some years so that we never forget. And so a lot of the crime victim families were there, and there was a representation from not only the DA, our police chief Tully, and other members of the community, but really law enforcement as a whole, so we never forget that those crimes and those individuals. So thank you to DA Hestron for bringing that to us. And with that, I have nothing else, and we'll move on to our consent calendar, which is items 10.1 through 10.13. Anyone want to pull anything, discuss anything?
No one wants to pull anything. I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We got first by Councilmember Furman, second by Councilmember Gutron. Please vote. Passes unanimously 5-0. With that, we'll move on to item number 11 now, which is the administrative items. It's receive and file responses to legislative subpoenas for certain records related to transient occupancy tax. Ms. Walla, are you handling this for us?
Yes, I am. Good afternoon, or is it evening?
It's
Evening.
afternoon still.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of City Council. Ruby Walla, Director of Finance. This item this evening is a receive and file item, and it's in relation to these legislative subpoenas that were authorized by the City Council in September 2024 and officially mailed and issued in December 2024. With those subpoenas, it called for the appearance of several operators, hotel operators, and let me go back a little bit in relation to TOT audits, transient occupancy tax audits that the city conducted and started in January 2024. We had anticipated completion of these audits in June 2024, but at the close of June 2024, we had 13 operators that were compliant, 10 that were in process, and about 11 that were non-responsive. So in the effort to get them to comply, we moved forward with the subpoena process. During that time, we have received compliance from some operators, and we still continue to have non-responsiveness, but today is where they would show up on the April 16th meeting. The initial meeting was scheduled for January 15th. However, we allowed a continuance to April 16th to allow them ample time to submit those documents. The options were that they would provide those documents, deliver them to City Council, or appear today with those documents requested per the legislative subpoena. So at this moment, it would just be opening it up to any operators that have those records to deliver this evening.
All right, any questions? All right, is there anybody here that has records or wants to speak on the subject, is here to comply?
Yes, this is Frank Weiser. I'm the attorney for the Hotel Motel Association. I think there was no mention of the fact that I had objected.
Can you hold on for a second, sir, please?
Sure.
Is that a way to kind of turn that up a little bit? We're working on it right now, sir. We just aren't able to hear you 100%. We want to make sure we get this on record.
Yeah, I
hear you
efficiently. No problem. I apologize.
Are you near a mic, sir, where you can speak?
Yeah, I'm speaking out of my iPhone, so okay. I'm sorry if it's.
We can hear you better now, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I'll try to speak loudly, but I'm the attorney for the Indian Hotel Motel Association. I had written several letters in response to the legislature prior to the subpoenas in the audit process, and then after the subpoenas actually had issued, and that should be part of the administrative record. I raised various constitutional and statutory objections to both the audit process and the subpoenas. I'm not going to reiterate them now. They should be in the record. You should have them. I will, though, note that the case that I cited, the central case, is the City of Los Angeles v. Patel case, a case that I was lead counsel. I argued it en banc before the Ninth Circuit in the 7-4 decision successfully, and then I was lead counsel in the U.S. Supreme Court, and we went 5-4, a decision authored by Justice Sotomayor. That's at 576 U.S. 409, a 2015 decision. These kind of subpoenas are specifically outlined in the Patel case. We have a right to judicial review without penalties or being penalized, and we have raised all these various objections. The motel owners that I represent, they have been here for many, many years, as I understand. They certainly cooperate. They try to cooperate with the city, and I think they are a source of a lot of revenue. But they have raised objections, and those objections, I suppose, if they can't be worked out in this kind of a proceeding, are going to have to go to a court for the court to decide that. But that's we're standing on the objections that I raised in my several letters. And I just want to inquire, you should have that, and that should be a part of the administrative record. Is that correct? If I could ask the city clerk.
City attorney?
So we are very well aware of the objections. We've met with staff over the objections. We have the letters. They're definitely, in what I'm going to call a record. It's not, I don't know if this is a true record, so to speak, but we are very well Mr. Weiser's objections. That's all I have to say at this time.
Thank you. Mrs. Turner?
If I have to raise it just very briefly, we've raised objections under the First Amendment petitioning grievances clause, the Fourth Amendment search and seizure clause, the Fifth Amendment taking clause, the 14th Amendment and procedural due process components of the due process clause and equal protection clause. And then I had various statutory objections, including a case that I successfully litigated in your district in a published decision by the 4th District Court of Appeals Division 2, where I threw out the TOT on due process grounds, void for vagueness grounds. It was a published decision in 1997, San Bernardino Hotel Motel Association versus City of San Bernardino. So I raised that all there, and as I said, we're not trying to block the city. I understand that obviously the city wants these records, but my clients do feel they have constitutional rights and they have legal rights that they can take to court, and we are exercising those rights under Patel.
Okay.
City of LA versus Patel.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments, sir. Your paperwork has been noted by our city attorney, so thank you very much for your comments. So,
I appreciate that.
Ruby?
At this time, it's just to, as we did, just receive and file anything received, and noted that we did not receive any additional documentation.
Okay, so none. Do we have to put a vote on that, or we can just receive and file?
It's just a receive and file.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ruby. Thank you. With that, we'll move on to item number 12 now, which is the public hearings. 12.1 is a resolution number 10488 for public hearing pursuant to the Tax Equity Financial Responsibility Act and adoption of a resolution authorizing issuance of tax-exempt revenue bonds by the California Municipal Financial Authority, CMFA, for development of the Arroyo Crossings apartment project located at 47555 Jefferson Street, Indio, California. Mr. Razzo, are you handling this for us, sir?
Honorable Mayor, yes. David Razzo, Senior Management Analyst, Community Development. Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. So as you mentioned, Mayor Miller, this is a hearing for the TEFRA. Staff is requesting the adoption of Resolution 10488, authorizing issuance of tax-exempt revenue bonds by the California Municipal Finance Authority for the Arroyo Crossing apartments. This resolution is a follow-up. You may recall in 2021, an original resolution was adopted by City Council. That resolution is nearly expired, and as the project is getting to an end, this is a renewal, if you will. Additionally, I will note that finals have been given on all the units at the Arroyo Crossings, and they are transitioning now, CMFA and the Pacific Companies is transitioning from a construction financing for the bonds to permanent financing. That concludes my presentation, and I believe a representative of CMFA is here, should City Council have any additional questions.
Yeah, and we're under no obligations. This
Correct.
is just a procedure that we have to follow under California
Correct.
law to be able to allow them to go out to bonds. And this is for more financing, I take it?
It's transitioning
over to the new financing.
From construction financing to permanent financing. Construction is, as I mentioned, completed. They're finishing up just a couple things, but finals have been given on all the units.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is the applicant wanting to speak, or are you fine?
You did a great job, so.
Okay, well, good. With that, we have the public hearings open. So we'll open the public hearing now, and is there anyone that wishes to speak on this subject? With that, we'll close the public hearing. Is there any comments, questions by council? Is there a motion then?
I'll go ahead and motion to adopt resolution number 10488, approving the issuance of bonds by the CMFA for the benefit of Indio Pacific Associates, a California limited partnership, a partnership of which the Pacific West Companies, Inc. is to provide for the financing of the project. Such adoption is solely for the purposes of satisfying the requirements of TEFRA, the code, and the California Government Code Section 6500.
I'll second that, Mayor.
First by Councilmember Ortiz, second by Councilmember Furman. Please vote. Passes unanimously 5-0. Thank you very much. With that, we'll move on to item 12.2, which is consideration of an appeal of the February 12, 2025 Planning Commission decision for the Maverick Fueling Station Planning Review, conditional use permit, tentative parcel map, and initial study mitigation negative declaration for the subdivision of a 8.62 acre site into 2 lots and the development of the fueling station on a 3.37 acre site with a convenience store, 10 pumps, 20 fueling positions, a 4-lane diesel commercial fueling area, and associate improvements in the heavy industrial zoning district and workforce employment general plan designation located at the northeast intersection of Gulf Center Parkway and Avenue 45. Mr. Holverson, is this you, sir? That was a mouthful
Yes, it is.
there.
Yeah, I wanted to apologize. I wrote that, and next time I will make it much shorter.
No, that's fine. Just wanted to make sure I got it all out.
Brian Halverson, Director of Community Development. It's good to be here. Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council. I'll go ahead and give this presentation. You have on the screen here the Maverick Fueling Station. As you know, this is an appeal based on a previous decision made by the Planning Commission. I'm going to go through some slides, go through the project kind of quickly. It's going to be a shortened presentation, not as long as the Planning Commission. And the mayor already explained the project, but I'm just going to real quickly summarize. On February 12th, this project was heard by the Planning Commission. So it's multifaceted. Of course, there's a map, there's the planning review, conditional use permit, the associated environmental review as well, and that's for the fueling station and the convenience store. So it's a pretty good sized convenience store, almost 6,000 square feet. There's a canopy there for 10 pumps. The 4 fueling stations. This would also accommodate diesel vehicles as well. It's not just regular fuel. And then the full site improvements. The location is the northeast corner of Avenue 45 and Gulf Center Parkway. I'm just going to real quickly explain some of the surrounding area. You'll see right now that the site highlighted in red is currently vacant, just south of the Interstate 10. This area, I always drive around and look at the area before any project comes before you or the commission or anybody. This is primarily an industrial area. There's existing industrial parks. I think even one of the land uses was mentioned tonight. The fire hose tenant is over here in an industrial complex. There is an existing gas station, the 7-Eleven gas station that was built recently in the last couple of years. The closest residential use is about 1,100 square feet, as well as 2 schools, but quite a ways to the west. So quickly, we already mentioned the zoning, but again, you can kind of see the heavy industrial uses, light industrial uses, a little bit of open space, of course, for the river, and then public and institutional, and of course, the general plan, workplace, and employment. Is the general plan designation, and then you can just see kind of the surrounding areas, including the Palo Verde neighborhood there directly to the west. So real quickly, the tentative parcel map, they want to just split it into 2, lot split, a parcel map. The northern part would remain vacant, and you can see the gas station, fueling station, convenience center is superimposed on that map. You can see the lot sizes that are proposed as well. This is the site plan. It's colored so you can just see where the convenience store is and the pumps, the fueling stations. There's even a scale there for trucks as well. You can see the access points. There'll be a driveway on Avenue 45, and there'll be a driveway on Gulf Center Parkway as well. That's been reviewed and looked at through the traffic study, and it has been looked at by our city engineer as well. I'm not going to show a lot of the elevations, but just show you this building perspective. It's basically going to have a stone frontage, as well as like a hardy backer, like a cement board, as well as a tower feature. If anyone has seen, I went and looked at it, the one in Desert Hot Springs, it's going to be very similar to that one. Very, very similar. And then, of course, the canopy, gas canopy, the floor plan of the convenience store, the landscape plan. I wanted to make sure that we get our signature palm trees. So there'll be 6 on one side of the parcel, Avenue 45, and another 6 on Gulf Center Parkway as well. The staff analysis, we looked at our general plan, we looked at our zoning code, we also did a thorough environmental review through initial study, mitigated negative declaration, and I know the consultant here is here tonight. If there's questions about that or questions for me, There's also a mitigation monitoring and reporting program, so it allows staff, if the project does move forward, to monitor those mitigation measures thoroughly. And then, of course, all the conditions of approval that are attached to the project. We did have some staff comments received, so those are attached as part of your packet. And then there was a couple more received, I want to say 3 hours or 2 hours before this meeting. So those have a copy of those, but hopefully you received those as well. And lastly, of course, the reason why we're here is because there was an appeal filed, because the Planning Commission voted 3-2 to deny the project. And of course, the associated environmental review. The denial findings, I'm not going to go into detail, but they're listed here. They range from traffic, greenhouse gases, and even disadvantaged communities. Tonight, we're asking you to consider the applicant's appeal to the Planning Commission decision and make a decision to either approve or deny. We have resolutions for both. We wanted to make sure the council has the option to do either or this evening. But that is the end of my presentation, and I am available for any questions.
Any questions of Brian? Mr. Gatron?
Knowing the scope of this area and knowing that it's 3.37 acres is what encompasses this project, what does it look like for the future of the rest of that property? Because as far as I know, it's been vacant when we annexed it, and it's been vacant for at least 60 years that I know of.
It's a very good question, and the property owner, I don't know if he's here or not, but they haven't expressed to us what that northern part, that second lot they want to create, what that would become. Right now, they're really just focused on the proposed gas station and convenience store. So they haven't told us what they would want to do for that northern half of the property. So they might have more information this evening, but as to date, we don't know what will be built there. Of course, once it's subdivided, that might, of course, help with someone that might come forward and want to build something there. New title, sorry to interrupt, but a new entitlement for that northern half would be required. It'd have to go to Planning Commission.
Which abuts CV Link and the storm channel. Okay. So the second part of that question is maintaining that area. The appearance, maintaining the facility, because as far as I know, we're looking to make sure these projects kind of look the way they do now when they open them. They'll look the best they 20 years from now.
Yeah, we do require that the dust and it be watered on a regular basis. But I'm pretty confident, the city's confident that will be maintained. And if it's not, that would be a code enforcement issue. But of course, we would try to avoid that before it came to a code enforcement issue. But again, the owner is here this evening, or at least the applicant, so if they have other methods of how to maintain that property, especially to keep the sand from blowing, I think that's probably the most important thing.
Well, we live in the desert, that's to be expected, but the vegetation that's planted, I don't want to see blanket emitters and dead trees and so forth, because that's what the community has expressed in any of these type of projects, any of our projects. And I know that you mentioned during strategic planning that you had a special interest in maintaining landscaping, which I appreciate that.
I really do, yeah. I'd love to see landscaping and love to see developers maintain it, but also install quality landscaping.
And native plants.
Exactly.
As Councilmember Ortiz always brings out. Thank you for your,
I think Mr. Gutron was talking about making sure the facility was clean. I mean, obviously, in back of it, native vegetation, that there's only so much you could do with it, especially if it's not disturbed. The natural vegetation will grow up on it. But I think he's talking about some of our properties that have been put in continue to not replace plants and trees as they lose them or maintain it. And I think that's what we're trying to look at, is make sure that anything that's developed is continued to be maintained at the highest quality.
Thank you for clarifying.
Anyone else before I open the public hearing?
I just wanted to confirm, I agree. That would have been my question as well, is the aesthetics of the property and facility. So, thank you.
Brian, one question. Staff is asking us to look at approving this in your eyes, or how do I take this? I see it's a 3-2 vote, but I don't see much reason for denial.
Well, I'll just say that, consider the appeal. There's resolutions for both, so we're leaving it up to the council. But I will say, because it's public record, that when it went to Planning Commission, we recommended approval.
Okay. Mr. Furman?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. This is for staff, but probably for our city manager. Have we done any analyzing on gas stations in our city?
What we have, and it's included in the applicant or the appellant's packet, is a leakage study conducted by Placer that indicates that while that may not intuitively be a belief, we have a considerable leakage with fuel cells throughout the city, and so there is, in theory, room for more gas stations because of the leakage that takes place.
I think I understand that. I'm looking for more of how many gas stations we have, locations, and what are the impacts in those locations. Off the top of my head, I don't know how many we have, but I think we're at a point now where we have to start looking at the amount of gas stations we have, and is there something like that in the future? I didn't have a chance to look at our general plan. I don't know if we talked, I don't remember if we talked about it, but.
There is no saturation requirement within the general plan, but it's certainly something we could look at. As stated or as viewed in the map, there isn't a lot around this particular one, but there are areas, as we all know, throughout the community where it would appear they're more than, I would call it near saturation, not at this specific location, but there may be others, yes.
And if I could add to Mr. Montgomery's discussion and input, so if we could put, okay, so I did prepare a map that we did show the Planning Commission, so let me just put it up real quickly.
That'll be helpful.
So here we go. Here's the gas stations. Here's what we have existing, although I apologize, there's one missing, and that's Walmart is going to be putting in a new fuel station. So you can see there's 24 there. You can see the ones that are active, the ones that are in development.
Right.
Including number 8, which is the Maverick station. But you kind of see the spread. You know, we're not a small city, we're a larger city. But you can kind of see, even looking at this visual representation of how many stations we have, we're probably going to get more gas stations. So that's kind of what we did, just to kind of give the council as well as the Planning Commission 2 months ago what we have kind of on the ground right now.
And I might, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I have a real quick question. Can you clarify Walmart Neighborhood Market at Fred Waring or Super Walmart in Shadow Hills area?
I believe it's the Super Walmart.
Yeah.
Up on 42.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr.
Sorry.
Furman, you got anything else?
I believe is that Showcase, I believe?
No.
The city manager had a
Nothing for staff.
I was just going to chime in, Mayor, just quickly, as it might be relevant to the points being made. As we all know, we have I-10 there as well. So if you have a community of 100,000 and the consumers there, when we look at consumers, we need to also include that huge corridor of, you know, hundreds of thousands of vehicles that pass through there on any given week. So if we did a saturation study, we would need to consider that volume, which one could argue doubles or triples our population and the need for perhaps fuel.
Thank you. And I know per Councilmember Furman's recollections talking about gas stations, I think because everybody thinks that cars are leaving and, you know, we're going to go from combustion cars to electric, that's not going to be as much needed. But and so I understand what you're saying. We have two moratoriums. One's on drugstores.
Yeah.
We did that years ago because there was the drugstore war where every time Rite Aid went in, Walgreens went in, CVS went in, and we started to lose, and we've lost a few of them for multiple reasons. But, you know, that was one. And the other is storage units, because we had an oversaturation. It's something we could look at as we go along. And then on High 111, we don't allow automotive uses.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Mayor. That's not.
No, that's
really,
where you're going with
No,
that?
that's not my concern. I think we're going to have a lot of gas in the future.
Yeah.
You know, we could barely take care of our power issues right now, so I'm not worried about electric vehicles. I'm just looking at this map. You know, with some of the gas stations we have in some of these areas, and it is some saturation. I think it deserves some study, and especially not only for us but for the community as well, to understand how these things work. And the other question I do have for staff is the traffic. You know, there's 4 lanes there. Is it 2 lanes or 4 lanes?
4 lanes.
4 lanes.
4 lanes, and so Maverick will also serve semi vehicles as well.
Yeah. Well, that diesel, I don't know if it's
diesels.
I believe larger trucks will come in as well. And there was a traffic study that was done. Level service would be maintained, and of course there are going to be improvements that are required. But there isn't any significant traffic impacts that either can't be mitigated or addressed out in the field when they do the roads, basically, to accommodate this particular project.
Well, that's a good question, because I remember when Golf Center originally was Auto Center, it was deliberately built to move 111 commercial traffic back on the 10.
Of course.
Because 111 was going to be given to the cities in its specific jurisdictional areas. And that was one of the issues of traffic flow. So
Well,
it's a good point.
No, I understand that.
No, good point you brought
And
up.
no, yeah, I understand that as well. Just a concern I have with the traffic as well is that when that did take place, right, we were a smaller community. There's more vehicles. We have Monroe and Jackson Bridge that right now is probably backed up, right? And so where most of us go that live north of the freeway is Golf Center, right? So that's one of our main, thoroughfares now. And, just looking at traffic, I just need a more in-depth report on traffic in the area when it pertains, especially when it pertains to these larger vehicles coming into an area that size.
So we could do that. The traffic consultant, I think, is going to be on the line. They have a Zoom link or Teams, so they could go into the more detail since I'm not a traffic engineer. So if you want to do that.
Yeah, sure. I like to see that.
And Mayor, maybe on that same I apologize for keep interrupting you, but as the council is well aware, we conduct a study for our development impact fees. And so that any development that comes in not only has to accommodate through the traffic study what goes on there, but they pay fees as a mitigation. And we've already set what those fees are. So we've evaluated the mitigations for a facility like this, and they will be required to pay those mitigations.
Yeah, we'll look into that. Yeah. Mr. Ortiz? Go ahead.
Sure. One of the things I'm looking at is this is an underserved neighborhood. We have a high school nearby. We have apartments nearby. And this is an area that's already impacted pretty heavily by air quality because they are so close to the freeway. Now, that's financially, that's a good place to put the gas station, right? Because we have all the vehicles coming by near the freeway as well. But I think one of the things that we should be looking at is, and I think it's in our guidelines, to look at mitigations. So what mitigations are we providing to improve the air quality? One of the things that I can think of is in the landscaping plan, are we tailoring that plan for air quality mitigation? Second, I would look at if you guys can think of what's the closest public charging station to this gas station?
Jackson. Over in front of Winco.
It's a whole intersection away, right? And so can we start looking at when we're going to be implementing gas stations, can we start implementing or requiring electric chargers and specific landscaping that will help us mitigate the air quality impacts that are coming from that? And I think our guidelines do require that. So do we have any things in these plans that are mitigating the air quality impacts?
Yeah, so the Green Building Code does require them to address electric vehicles. As far as the landscaping, that's a tough one. I mean, it's a good landscape plan, but I don't know if that's going to be really the big ticket item. The environmental consultant's here. I'd like for her to talk briefly about the mitigation specifically for air quality. I mean, probably the most important thing is that everything is below the threshold, so there isn't anything that can't be mitigated through the environmental review that they did. But I mean, it's a good question. I mean, vegetation obviously does help with pollution and it does absorb the pollutants, but it's probably not the big one in regards to the environmental review that we completed. That would be the primary mitigation measures.
And what are those primary mitigation
Well,
measures?
yeah, the environmental consultant can come up. I don't want to speak out of place and kind of go over those measures.
Okay. Do that when we open the public hearing, but.
One last thing, I'm so sorry to interrupt. This is kind of a deja vu of the Greens that I did recently. There's a condition, if this does go in the favor of the applicant, there's a condition that needed to be updated. Do you mind if I just voice it into the record?
Absolutely.
Okay, so it'd be condition of approval 82B, and that's resolution 10486. The wording just got a little jumbled. Not quite sure how that happened, but it should read as follows. Avenue 45 shall be constructed and accepted by the city prior to issuance of a temporary or permanent certificate of occupancy. So that's an engineering condition. That would be, again, condition 82B of resolution 10486, which is attached to the staff report. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions to staff before we open the public hearing? With that, we'll open the public hearing. Does anybody wish to speak on this? I know that we've talked about the environmentalist. If you'd like to come up, and if the applicant would like to come up after that, if they have any responses to any of our questions and like to ask us anything. Yes, ma'am. Can you state who you are?
Good evening. My name is Christina Willis. I'm president of Willis Environmental Planning, and my company prepared the environmental impact report. The initial study and the mitigated negative declaration. I also have some of my technical experts attending tonight virtually. I have Mr. Ryan Birdsey with Birdsey Planning Group, and he prepared our air quality, greenhouse gas, and noise studies. I also have Mr. Dan Clues with Lynn Scott Long Greenspan. He prepared the local transportation analysis and the vehicle miles traveled analysis. I wanted to come and possibly respond to some of the concerns that we had. First, I will address the traffic, and then I'll address some of the air quality issues. So we did have a full traffic study done for this project, and the scope of work for the traffic report was reviewed by the city traffic engineer and approved. And so we looked at not only the trips that would be generated during construction, but those that would be generated during operations. And as part of the analysis, our study area included 8 intersections. And what we found is that those intersections, 7 of the intersections operated at acceptable levels of service with or without the project. If we add the trips there, it would not be a significant impact. One would have a significant impact in the cumulative condition, so that's the existing our project and other projects that would be developed within a certain time frame. And the mitigation measure for that was that our project was conditioned to provide a certain percentage of the cost of those improvements. And in terms of the trip generation, I'm just going to put my glasses on for just a minute. The trips that would be generated by the project was 6,223 daily net trips. Those are the average daily trips over a 24-hour period. And then we looked at the trips that would be generated during the PM peak hour and the AM peak hour. We're looking at 182 trips that would be added, or 161 during the PM peak hour. And so a number of the trips that would be generated are really pass-by trips. And it wasn't until I was driving here today that I really understood what a pass-by trip was. I was coming to Indio for this event. So this event really generated my trip. But I stopped at a 7-Eleven gas station. And so my trip to 7-Eleven really wasn't due to the 7-Eleven being there. It was really for me coming here. And so when we did the analysis, we found that there would be only a cumulative impact to Gulf Center Park Lane, Lorraine Street at 111, and the project includes payment of the fair share and towards that improvement. The other item that was asked is, what were some of the mitigation measures? As part of our analysis, we looked at the whole suite of 19 issues, and we've identified 15 mitigation measures. Aesthetics. For air quality, there were 2 specific mitigation measures that were required. Our air quality study did not find that the project during construction or operation generated emissions that exceeded the air quality management district's threshold. Nevertheless, any project in our area requires a fugitive dust permit plan, and that's mitigation measure A1. We also included a mitigation measure for construction emissions, such that the equipment control measures, with standard measures for exhaust emissions, and enhanced measures for construction equipment. And that means that all the construction equipment would have to qualify as a Tier 4 engine, which generates less criteria pollutants. In addition, we've had biological mitigation measures, cultural measures, flipping the page, geology and soil, as well as the transportation and traffic that I just mentioned. So if there are any other questions that either I can answer or that my technical experts can answer, we're available for those.
Mr. Furman? Mr. Ortiz?
Yeah, so I think, even if we're not going above the AQMD measures, we know we're increasing the air quality issues in the
Yes,
area.
sir.
So what are we doing to mitigate that new presence of air pollution in the area?
The measures that we've identified are for the fugitive dust and for the construction emissions, and those are the required mitigation measures for us. The Air Pollution Control District is the permitting agency for this, and from a CEQA compliance perspective, we're required to measure emissions generated to the thresholds. And if you are below the thresholds, and for this project, we were not just below the threshold, we were significantly below the threshold. In terms of greenhouse gas, the threshold is 3,000. We were at 1,700. So we're not just below them, we're significantly below. So our environmental document identified mitigation measures where we exceeded identified thresholds. And for air quality, we did not. We did include measures that are required for the construction permits.
Okay. Furman, anything?
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Welcome.
Can you state your name?
Yes, my name is Kevin Dice. I'm with Maverick. And I really appreciate your time tonight and everything in hearing our appeal. A couple of things that, particularly that you brought up about EVs. We do install EVs, chargers. Now, per the California Green Code, we are required to install 2. But what we found is that one has to be ADA accessible. So that ADA accessible has to be a van accessible. So what we found in terms of design, it's easier to do 2 ADAs, 1 van, 1 not, and then do 2 non-ADAs. So we will put in 2 chargers, which 1 charger serves 2 cars. So there will be 4 spaces. Awesome. Then we'll plumb for 4 more because we know that the code will change and that it will be required. So we will have the ability to add an additional 4 for a total of 8 on that. As was also brought up about what else we can do to reduce greenhouse, we are going to go with an all-electric building, meaning that we won't be using gas. And really for our building, the only thing that we utilize gas for would be for the HVAC, and I think we have 1 small water heater. But it does help a lot to bring the overall emissions down. So it'll be an all-electric building, all-electric facility. With regard to any type of vapor system on the tanks and everything, we meet the full CUPA requirements in terms of what we have to do to capture vapor and to recycle it to make sure it doesn't escape. California has the strictest gasoline laws and gas station laws in the United States, and we do meet that criteria. A few other things that I would just like to bring up. There are a variety of downstream economic benefits. We did an economic analysis on another site. It was a very comprehensive analysis of what taxes are brought in. It's in your packet and everything. And there's not only significant sales revenue for gas and for retail, but also within the construction end. You know, we utilize labor, local labor. We utilize a lot of different sources of materials from the area and everything. And then what we like to look at as long-term downstream is third-party people. People who come in and will clean the parking lot, will do the landscaping, that cleans our windows, that'll come in and help us with roof repairs and things of that nature. We like to utilize local people for that because those are the people when you have a leak you can call and they will be out there. We're not pulling somebody from Utah to come in here. And Maverick is a family-owned private corporation out of Utah, but we are in 21 states. We have over 800 stores, so we like to spread that. Something else that came up, which was very interesting when you were talking about the homeless shelter. I know that's probably not the name of it, but what we do is we work closely with food banks because we have a lot of food that may not be used during the day, and we work with food banks to hand that food out so that it doesn't go to waste. And I think that's something that Maverick is very proud of doing. So we try to become part of the community. We want to help the community in this way. With regard to really the overall impact, The CEQA study is very extensive, extremely extensive. And we meet the requirements of the CEQA study. The CEQA study did not find that there was significant impacts, things that could be mitigated. And so we believe that we will bring a very nice building and a nice facility. One thing that Maverick does pride themselves on is the cleanliness. You talk to anybody, particularly women, because gas station restrooms aren't always the best, but Maverick really prides himself on keeping a clean building, particularly for that. And something that's important, we are not a truck stop, meaning that we don't allow overnight parking, we don't have trucker lounges, we don't have showers, we don't have all those other things that you'll have with a larger truck stop. So it is definitely something that will just be come in, fill up, get your burrito and a Coke or something like that and move on. Any other questions? I'm here to answer.
Mr. Ortiz?
For the food options, do you guys have fresh food options that are available as well?
Yes, we do. We make fresh sandwiches, we make fresh salads, we have fruits, we have other options. Of course, we have the obligatory roller dogs. Everybody has to have it. I love them.
I'm with you.
Yeah, okay, good. But we do have fresh food options. We make fresh pizza there and sandwiches, like I said, and things of that nature.
And then you said for the electric chargers, you'll be installing two that serve 4 cars.
Yes.
With the utility to bring 4 more in the future.
4 more, yeah. And that will be operational at the time that CO is issued.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Ortiz. Thank you. Mr. Catron?
No, just one important thing. I know that Mayor Pro Tem Holmes mentioned about code enforcement, but it's more than just code enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
It's our fire safety, it's code enforcement, it's building and safety. And we would just like to start seeing them continually be polished because that's what our community deserves. Clean and safe environment. So that would be very much welcomed.
We love working with law enforcement. We like to have them in our parking lots. We like to have them around. The presence is good, but at the same time, they deserve a clean area that they can utilize as well. When they have to use facilities and things, we want to have clean facilities for them.
Mr. Furman? Member Tim? Thank you, sir. We're very much appreciative of you bringing this to us, and thank you. I've heard good things about Maverick gas stations and your convenience stores and the services that you provide from other cities. I called that you happen to have stations in. I called to some of the council members from other cities and says you're a very positive addition to their community.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? I don't have any requests to speak. Is there anybody else that'd like to speak on this subject? With that, we'll close the public hearing. What's the pleasure of the council, or any comments or questions?
I have a request.
Okay.
Taking Mr. Furman's comments into consideration, can we bring back an item to discuss what requirements we want to consider for the city that might go above the requirements of the state when we're taking in new gas stations? And through that, what I'm talking about more is those mitigations of the electric vehicles and a landscaping that can help the air quality around the area. That's my request.
No, I support that because us, we're my brain is at right now, and I appreciate the work and the traffic study and the things that go into this, and much like Brian mentioned earlier, when we have these developments, I like to go stand there and get a feel for it and think about, visualize this project being there, and so I appreciate the study, and a lot of times we talk about what our requirements are, and to think that there wouldn't be impacts in some of these projects, how can we predict that, right? I know there's a lot of in-depth study and smart folks, a lot smarter than I am, doing these studies, but how can we predict that, right? And 10 pumps, was it 20 pumping stations, right? 20 filling positions,
stations,
yeah. And so I think there will be some impacts, and so I like to learn more about that as we move into the future too. And I know there will be taxes generated from this, but in a lot of instances, dollars don't equal our environment and our community. And so I'll leave it up there. And but I do appreciate the applicant. Much like the mayor said, Maverick has a good reputation. I've been to some of the Maverick stations as well, so I appreciate them being who they are and coming to the city of Indio for business. So I appreciate that.
Mr. Catron?
I just concur with Councilmember Ortiz and Councilmember Wayman. We need a plan to look like, but in that plan, I want to emphasize again, clean and safe, and we hold it to code.
Okay.
Because they seem not to be that way in certain areas of our city.
Mayor Pro Tem, any?
Couldn't agree more.
I agree, and I think we need to look at it, and Brian, if we can, we also need to look at, we've had quite a few of the gas stations. I'm all for development, I'm all for it. But a lot of them have put the gas station in and they have the other property, and then nothing happens to the property. This one across from it, 7-Eleven, has the vacant lot next to it too. We really need to push what kind of development they're gonna go and some thoughts and ideas behind what we're gonna do with some of those other facilities and areas. So one, they're not used for dumping or anything else, but also it becomes a vital part of our community. If it's a park, if it's another business, how do we structure it so that it's attractive to other people if they want to either develop themselves or sell it to have it developed? But a lot of this land sitting there in some of these spots isn't doing us any good, and we need to bring in economic development, jobs, housing, whatever it might be that fits in there. But really, I think the last 3 gas stations we brought in, take out Tower because it didn't have anything next to it, but some of the last 3 have all just put in gas stations under the demise that they were going to fix the rest of it up, and they've done nothing with it. Really need to see what they're going to do in long-term plans on those to make sure so that they don't sit vacant with just a gas station on it. And I concur. I think we need to look at what mitigations we can look at to put on these things so that they are attractive to other individuals.
Well, that's an idea that we could bring back. Here's an agenda item and refer back to the Planning Commission to study, much like you did with the storage units, or we could just request the Planning Commission to come up with some ideas to present. Just guide us on how you'd like that, as long as a majority are on that room.
And I'd like to run it to the Planning Commission first. Let them vet it, let them come up with ideas and thoughts so that when they're getting these things, because sometimes this wouldn't have come to us if they would have approved it. It wouldn't have even come to us. The only reason it's coming to us because it's being appealed. But maybe let them have a crack at it, and then our input can be put into it also once it gets done to be able to make sure that there's anything there that we're going to do. Because we're all for development, we're all for the community, but we also at the same time want to have a nice, clean, safe community project that has some of the amenities, and they seem no problem to be able to add the charging stations and other things that accommodate not only us but our community. So I think it's good. I'd like to take it to the Planning Commission if we could, because if not, they're not having a say in it.
I concur.
Yep.
Come
So-
back with a better plan.
Yeah, so we got that. What's the pleasure of the council? They're asking for a decision, either approval or denial.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay, do you need to read it with the amendment?
That's exactly what I'm
I'll
looking
second.
for, is the information.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, if I may, the motion to approve would be to approve resolutions 10-483, 8-4, 8-5, and 8-6.
And 8-2?
And 8-6, so it's 8-3 to 8-6.
Okay, or 8-2,
Okay,
okay,
8,
so
8,
that,
no,
and then what
we don't
about
want
the
8, 2.
amendment that they asked for, Brian asked to have some other language put in?
Would you like me to read it again?
Please.
I can do
Yes.
that. Okay. And this is resolution 10486, Mayor, and it would be condition 82B would read as follows. Avenue 45 shall be constructed and accepted by the city prior to issuance of a temporary or permanent certificate of occupancy. End of condition.
So we have a motion and a second by Councilmember Gutrana, first by Mayor Pro Tem. Please vote. Passes 4-1 for approval. The appeal is upheld. So with that, we'll move on to the next item, which is 12.3, which is community input for preparation of the city's annual action plan for fiscal year 2025, 2026, and other required documents to receive an entitlement of the community designation from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, as necessary to receive future Community Development Block Grant, CDBG funds. Mr. Razzo, are you handling this for us, sir?
That is correct. Honorable Mayor, good evening, City Council members. The purpose of the public hearing today is strictly for solicitation and input regarding the annual action plan as it pertains to Community Development Block Grant. So a little bit of background regarding the Community Development Block Grant. The City of Indio, once it reached a population over 50,000, it became an entitlement community. This means that the city can receive a direct allocation from HUD. Part of the HUD guidelines every year for the annual action plan is that the city is required to host 2 community needs surveys, as well as 2 public hearings, one for solicitation, which is why we're here this evening, and one for approval. As part of the annual action plan, fiscal year 25-26, we will have at the second meeting a more thorough process in terms of what the city council will recommend. In previous years, the anticipated allocation is $750,000, more or less. That's what we received last year. And city council has recommended in previous years that those funds be used for public services, public facilities, infrastructure, as well as program administration. Additionally, the draft, which is also in the staff report, has been available for the public from April 4th, 2025 through May 5th, 2025. And so that, again, is just opening for any comments provided by the community in terms of what they would like to see regarding these funds. The public hearing number 2, which is scheduled for the city council date May 7th, is when staff will come back with a more thorough plan for approval by city council. Most of the information is in the staff report, but I'm available for any questions staff might have. I will note that there's no approval necessary at this time. It's more just input, solicitation, any comments. Thank you.
Okay, any questions before we open the public hearing?
Let's go.
Okay, with that, we'll open the public hearing. Is there anybody that'd like to talk on this subject, to have a comment on the CDBG funds? No? So do we have to leave the public hearing open for this, or do we can close it? Okay.
That is correct. If no public comments, we can close.
Okay, anybody less? Okay, we'll close the public hearing, and it's the pleasure of the council. Do we have to do anything at all to recommend it? Okay. With that, then
No action is needed.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for your
Okay.
your work, and we'll move on to item now number 13, which is public comments. It is items not on the agenda. Miss Maggie Lopez, please come up.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Council. My name is Maggie Lopez. I am a resident of Coachella. We are here today with the Escaramuza team. We are here to invite you to join us to our fundraiser event, which is Mariachi Under the Stars, where we honor the Mexican arts of mariachi, banda, ballet folklorico, and Escaramuza charra, which is the girls here behind me. They ride side saddle, which is part of the charro sport, if you're familiar. It's a combination which encompasses various regions that reflect the traditions and culture of the different regions of Mexico. The event takes place on April 27th of this year from 4 to 10 p.m. at Rancho Escondido. You can purchase your tickets and make donations at reinasdelvalle.org. All the proceeds from the event will benefit the Escaramuza team. So I'm going to have the girls come up and speak if that's okay.
Wonderful, absolutely. And do you have a flyer or anything that we can get, or a website?
Yes, so the girls do have flyers here. We
Wonderful.
also have the website reinasdelvalle.org, where you can find us there for tickets and donations.
Wonderful.
So I have Miranda Lopez.
Good evening, my name is Miranda Lopez. I'm the captain of Escaramuza Charra Reinas del Valle. Our team consists of 8 girls wearing colorful traditional dresses and ride our horses side saddle. We perform numerous choreographed synchronized maneuvers to music. Our performances are strictly judged by experts on precision, timing, attire, and even our saddles. We perform in community events and state and national competitions. Thank you.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Jimena Nuño y hoy les queremos dar las gracias por su apoyo a nuestro equipo de escaramuzas. Es un honor representar nuestra cultura y al mismo tiempo representar el deporte nacional por excelencia, que en nuestro caso es la escaramuza. Todo esto nos impulsa para seguir motivándonos en representar a nuestro equipo Reinas del Valle. Gracias.
Good evening, my name is Ayon. I would like to thank our parents and volunteers who have been our biggest supporters ever since we started practicing this sport. The Mariachis Under the Stars event is a very important fundraiser because it covers our competition fees in the state of California and gets us closer to meeting our goal to travel to national competition in Mexico, where we represent the Coachella Valley. Thank you.
Thank you. I can answer any questions if you have any.
Go ahead, Ben.
Just clarify that your team consists of Indio and Coachella kids on the team.
No, we actually have kids from Indio Hills, Cathedral City, Coachella, so it's open to any girls from the Coachella Valley.
And they're so young. How'd they end up riding? And I mean that's quite an art.
We have girls from the ages of 5. They start as little as 5 years old, up to 15. The age to end competition, where they can no longer compete, is age 60. So they can ride until age 60.
Oh, wow.
To be able to compete in competitions in state and national levels.
And your ages of your riders from high to low?
The youngest is 9, and the oldest is 14.
Wow, that's awesome. Fantastic. And you have those flyers that we might be able to get?
Yes.
Mr. Furman?
Yes. Just to let you know that our city does have community grants, and I don't know where we're at right now on that round, but make sure we take advantage of that, and it's up to $5,000 community grant. So congratulations, and it's awesome work.
Thank you. We did apply last year, and we weren't selected. This year, I think the deadline has closed, but we will love to apply next year.
They're quarterly.
They're quarterly.
Quarterly? Oh,
Quarterly.
perfect.
Through
I thought it
April,
was once a year.
no, through April 30th, so this cycle is just the next couple weeks, so you could
So
apply.
you'll have the application in, for sure.
Lane?
Yes, no. So Mariachis Under the Stars, so that's an event. And so can you tell us more about that and when, and how do we attend?
So it's going to be on April 27th from 4 to 10 p.m. You can buy the tickets at our website. So we cover the traditions of the Mexican culture, which is the mariachi, the banda, the ballet folklorico, and the performers Escaramuza Charra. I do see some familiar faces here, which I believe you've been to the venue before. Yes. And to some of our events, thank you for joining us. We hope you can make it this.
Mr. Ortiz, you want to say anything?
Well, no, sure. I just wanted to say I'm really proud of the girls, and keeping that culture alive and sharing that with our community is an amazing thing for them to be doing for us. So really appreciate your work and keeping that culture going. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming and sharing that with us. I'm more than happy to give you a donation, so I'll make sure that I
Thank you, and we'll see you on the 27th.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Rebecca Zamudio? That's you. That is awesome. That is really cool.
Okay, my name is Rebecca, but everybody knows me as Becky Zamudio.
Sorry, Becky.
It's okay. It's a pleasure to be here. First of all, this is my very first time actually getting up and speaking in front of all of you, so I'm a little nervous, okay? First of all, I live in Indio, in the north part of North Indio, next to the neighborhood of the North Jackson Park. And I just want to say, first of all, that the park looks beautiful. Everybody that was involved with putting the project together, getting the landscaping going, getting the grass going up to the hill by where the link is at, just everything just looks great, okay? But I do have a concern. I heard a rumor that the custodial program that's through the rec will be no longer as of June. And I'm really concerned about this because of the fact that I see this group of employees that come for, they clean up pick up trash, they clean the tables, any graffiti, they go into the restrooms, they make sure that they're very well stocked, everything is clean, and also they keep away a lot of those that choose and think they can get away with smoking, what they're not supposed to be smoking, doing things they're not supposed to be. The majority of them are homeless, but there are some that are not homeless. I just know that for a fact. But they think it's our hangout place, and they do approach them. I've seen them because I walk the park quite often, and they do approach them, and they tell them, they don't even give them a warning. They just tell them, look, we have signs everywhere that says this is not allowed, and you need to move on, get away from the area. We have little kids coming in. We have a lot of families that are now, they're coming forward because of the way the park looks, how it's well kept up, and how they find that it's a safe place to bring their children. And we have tennis players that come there and they practice. I'm just concerned because I'm afraid that if the program is no longer, they're going to come back because they do notice, and they do know the presence of this particular group that comes not just to our park, but they go to, I guess, the Miles Park, the Dr. Carry-On Park, and the Dominguez and other parks as well. I would like for you guys, if this is not a rumor, if it is, I mean, really, it's needed. We notice the difference. If you live in that area and you go to the park, quite often, you know. And a lot of times I don't want to have to pick up the phone and call the chief, staff, or anybody, the officers. They themselves, they can take care of this themselves. They do take care of the problem. And by the way, I think the Golden Voice is doing a great job. On the contrary of all the stuff that's being said out there about the traffic and so on, I mean, things happen. And we learn from that, and we take care of the problem. So I'm truly grateful for Golden Voice, for what they've done for the city, and not just for the city of Indio, but for the whole valley, because every year it seems like somebody's doing something to draw people in. They're having an event here, an event there, and so I love Golden Voice and what they bring to our community. So.
Thank you. You're a pro at this. Did a great job.
Thank you.
It's all those years at Stater Brothers.
Mike Samudio?
Wait, can we have, yeah, we typically don't respond, but that is a bad rumor. The security will actually be more visible with what we're doing, so none of that will stop.
Okay. Okay.
The,
Mr. Gutron?
The only comment I have is we're supposed to be getting a report from DRD. What's the status? Because I know we asked about it in January. Get an updated report from Desert Recreation District on their managing the fields and maintenance to the bathrooms.
Yeah, Tim's whispering to me it's later in May, so probably the second meeting in May.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that, Oscar. I didn't think about responding. Mr. Samudio? Mike?
I don't even know if I want to come up and talk after that.
Yeah. Showing you up.
Yeah, she did. She actually did. Good evening, Mayor, council members, Mr. Montgomery, Chief. One thing, first let me start off by saying thank you to Indio Police for what they've done with the work during Coachella and throughout the year. But I know that there were some bumps that they went through, but it always gets better. So thank you. I've heard a lot of great positive things. The other thing I'd like to thank is, I don't know if he's here, but Tim, your parks manager, Jose. I met with him a couple weeks ago, well, about a month ago, and I asked them if they could kind of look at installing some ballards at the Jackson Park, because we were getting vehicles driving up the dike and parking their trucks on top and doing exercises and stuff and then going back down. So the ballards were installed a week later with some chains put across, and to this day I haven't seen a truck up there yet. So thank you for that. One of the things that I was going to hit on was what she had said, so I have clarification with that. Over at the, next to the Jackson Park at the Armory, there's debris that's being dumped there by companies. I don't know who it is or what's going on, but it's being dumped. And now that it's warming up, the smell, especially during baseball games for the youth, the smell is coming over to the park. I don't know where it's coming from, but I do know it looks like a dump site, and it's not. It should be removed and hauled off to the dump where it belongs, not in our community, you know. The other thing I'd like to say, I would just want to put this on record. I noticed that throughout the city of Indio, there's these signs of that have gone up, recently been put up. The one that I'm really concerned about is the one that's on Jackson Jackson leading into the other side of Indio, which is North Indio, north of the freeway. I live in North Indio. I live in the old community of North Indio. I don't want to lose that name. I know we've had a discussion, but that name means a lot not only to our community, residents in our community. John Carmona, who just recently passed, was a pioneer of Indio, North Indio. So my community where I live is actually north of the railroad tracks, and that's how we've been identified as North Indio, and I'd like that to continue. But this sign, what it says is, I can't remember, is it Indio Welcome or something, and then it says at the very bottom of it says North Indio. That's what concerns me. We have nothing that identifies our community as North Indio, and I'd like to see that happen somehow, some way. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Mike Wales?
Hello, City Council. Hello, Mayor. Hello, staff there. So, revenue versus residents. That's kind of the theme that I would go on. And you all addressed it quite nicely in our prior comments where Councilman Furman, you said dollars don't equal quality of life. Paraphrasing that. Councilman Gutron said hold to the code as a reference to the gas stations. And Mayor Miller, you said mitigation, keep it nice, keep it clean and safe. And then, of course, Councilman Ortiz about the air environment and air quality. So, festival's awesome. My daughters were home. That was a bonus, right? So, you know, anytime they come home for something, even if it's for the festival, is great. But I would say, can you try to keep Golden Voice in check? Don't just look at them as a big source of revenue. This year, it seemed like the music went a lot longer, and so I asked my daughters about it, and they said there's a tent in the camper ground this year, and that was the source of music to 2 a.m. And it was inside a tent, but it was still, when you had the sound check out here, take that times about 5 is what it was in our house, especially at 1:30 trying to go to sleep. So it delayed everything quite a bit. So there's just kind of a little bit of a creep. Don't have a bias just because they're a huge source of revenue. Please hold them to the standards that you would hold any other business in this community. Their business is for profit. They're going to push the envelope to maximize the profit. That's what they do. You've got to have to be the backside and say, hey, hold on, that's great, but you got to take care of the residents first. On air quality, I hadn't really thought about this, but if you look at Monroe, they installed a trucking parking lot on Monroe, which is all dirt. So if you go on Monroe right now, it is just dirt and dust from all the dirt coming out of that lot. Any construction site would have been mandated to do mitigation for that and would have sweepers going up and down to get rid of that dust to improve the air quality. So you got a significant impact there. So it's the noise, the dust, and then just in general, please hold them to the same standards as the rest of the city. It appears in the proposed water rates. If you look at the proposed water rates, we're going to get an increase as residents, but there's a clause that says something about irrigation or something, and it's just a big, broad to be determined. So it seems like you're leaving a big loophole, in order to give the Polo Grounds a sweetheart deal for the water usage. So I would take a look at the way that wording is, and if you're shaking your head, so if that's not the case, fantastic. But that's the way I read it. Residents, you're getting this rate. Businesses to be determined, and then there's another section that it seems like the Polo Grounds would fall into, which is a big hole. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wells. We'll look into your comments.
I have one more, Mayor.
Yes.
Eileen Lynch.
Please come up, ma'am. And I have two more.
Sorry for the late submission. Well, thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members for having me. My name is Eileen Lynch. I am the Executive Director of Parkinson's Resource Organization. And first of all, I wanted to say thank you. Actually, the City of Indio gave us some money towards our Parkinson's Symposium in February. This was a first-time event and a free event for people of Coachella Valley, and I'm happy to say it was an unmitigated success. We sold out the free event about a week beforehand. We filmed the entire thing so that people can see that afterwards, even if they weren't able to make it. And attendees reported 93% high satisfaction, 90% would return again. This again was a first-time event for the community, and the City of Indio is the only Coachella Valley city that supported us, so really, really grateful. But it's actually Parkinson's Awareness Month, which is why I'm here today. I wanted to, first of all, put that on the radar in the official record that Parkinson's Awareness Month is April. This is the fastest growing, second most common neurodegenerative condition in the world, and it actually uniquely impacts Coachella Valley. I've heard quite a bit about air quality today. There are two key factors for the development of Parkinson's. One is aging, and one is environmental factors like some of those chemicals that are actually used in large-scale farming in East Coachella Valley. So we estimate that there are about 10,000 people with Parkinson's in Coachella Valley and about 1,800 right here in Indio. I want to make sure that everyone is aware that there is a local resource for Parkinson's here in Coachella Valley that is Parkinson's Resource Organization. All of our programs are free. We have emotional support, practical support, educational resources. We have programs online for people who are housebound or unable to travel. We have programs in person for people who really need that connection. We do one-on-one consultations in person or over the phone. Our goal is that we are working so no one is isolated because of Parkinson's. I ask that each of you think about whether you know anyone in your life who is navigating Parkinson's and make sure they know about this resource. Familiarize yourself with this free local resource for Parkinson's. And finally, please do consider us in upcoming funding opportunities like the Community Block Grant. Thank you.
Thank you for what you do. It's very much needed.
Thank you.
I do have James Sewer.
Good evening, everybody, Mayor, council members. A couple things. As you know, I cover a lot of stuff that's coming to the desert in the city, and a lot of people voice their opinions about those things. So one of them that I wanted to just bring to light was the Jackson Street Shadow Walk project. I haven't heard one single good comment about that project. Everybody is pretty upset about it. They feel like it doesn't look good, it doesn't provide shade. They're questioning why Jackson Street and not other places in the city. So I just wanted to talk about that and bring that to your attention. And then I wanted to ask if there was an avenue, who would be the point of contact to speak to regarding certain things like the freeway monument signs, like for the different shopping centers, the Indio Town Center, things like that. I know I had spoken to Wayman and a couple other people about how it was probably a good year before their sign actually worked. More than half of their sign was burned out. The lights were off at night, so people driving on the freeway couldn't see that we had a 24-hour grocery store right off the freeway. Could only imagine how much revenue was lost by people driving right by and not seeing it. I know the Palms shopping center right now, their for lease sign is just blowing in the wind on the big pylon signs. It makes it look kind of unkept and stuff like that. So I'm not sure who we could, if there is a code or somebody that we could talk to about certain things like that put the city in a good light, especially all that freeway traffic driving by, and shopping centers that are being developed and look really good, and people are just driving right by them. Some of those signs are in pretty bad shape. So that's it. That's all I got. Thank you.
He's in the corner. He's a code enforcement. Jason Anderson's our head guy. But if you also get the app, you can put graffiti, trash, and other stuff, and then just send us an email. I mean, you send Wayman an email. We'll get it to the proper people if you don't know.
Okay.
Just highlighting what you know is that, and that's for everybody. But the app's a great resource, and if something else is there of an issue, it takes all the eyes to go together. So we thank you for
Got
that.
it.
But yeah, shoot one of us an email, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good. Appreciate it. Thank you.
And with that, I have Brock and Casey and your whole team. You want to come up? And Brock, you want to give me your last name so I don't butcher it? Janikowski. That's what I thought, but I wanted to make sure.
He was close.
Our whole team doesn't want to go up. They have a little stage fright.
Do you have any more people, or just the two of you? No, come on up. No, you got to get the full treatment.
Are all those students?
They are
We are,
students. You can tell us what you're doing and why you're here.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council members, for allowing us to speak here. I'm going to be like the young ladies reading off my prompt. But we are impacting Indio, and we're a community service group constructed through the Bachelor's of Social Work program here at Cal State San Bernardino at the Palm Desert campus. Through the coursework and practicums, we as students hope to gain the knowledge and skills to become great social workers that can impact the Coachella Valley. We are passionate to help people in any area and look forward to making a difference in our community. We are all currently enrolled in a social welfare policy class that examines how social policy affects community members and how a community service project can make the difference we hope to see with policy changes. Because of Indio's rich history and diverse population, it was an easy choice to choose Indio as the community we wanted to serve. After gaining our assignment, we knew we wanted to aid underserved communities, so we wanted to find and survey people of lower socioeconomic status and those that would be most likely in need of social services. Myself and other members of Impacting Indio created a survey with the needs assessment to identify the needs of the community of Indio. We took this survey to areas such as the DPSS office, county behavioral health buildings, low-cost food, bus stops, where we would help to survey some of those people. The assessment yielded that 1 in 4 people had overdosed from opiates themselves, and 50% of people knew 5 or more people that overdosed or were poisoned by fentanyl. And so we gathered together. We called local drug and alcohol treatment centers and other county agencies and hoped to find some harm reduction tools. And we were able to acquire through Ranch Recovery Centers 480 boxes of naloxone or Narcan, not the vial and the needle, the nasal spray. And we also have 1,000 fentanyl test strips. And I'll let him tell you what we want to do with those things.
All right, equally nervous, grateful to be here. Mayor, city council members. So the opioid epidemic is clearly affecting our nation, the city as well, we're no exemption. The most recent ROTA report from Riverside County had, I think it was 1,381 overdose fatalities, 60% of those involve fentanyl, and they're not numbers, they're all individuals of our communities, and Indio's a part of that. So we believe that even one life lost is too many, and we want to make a difference. So our mission is to educate and equip the community with the tools and resources that we have, like my wife and cohort member just mentioned. Our hope is that harm reduction supplies can put a dent in that number. So one of the things that we looked at is local pharmacies, such as Walgreens, are charging $34.99 for 2 doses of generic naloxone. Pretty cheap, but for families that are struggling to make, their general expenses, this might get overlooked. We want to help provide those for free. And we see that where these get distributed, or sometimes at resource fairs, that might miss some families. Sometimes those resource fairs are only contacting people who are already connected to resources. So we're requesting approval from the city to set up a booth at the upcoming second Saturday, the Asada Fest on May the 10th, so that we can engage community members directly, provide education about the dangers of opioid overdoses and fentanyl poisoning, and lastly, to distribute that naloxone and fentanyl at no cost.
Fentanyl strips.
Oh, fentanyl strips. And Yeah, that's not what we're doing. And with the City of Indio's support, we believe that we can truly save some lives. If one person is able to prevent the life or the loss of a loved one, then it would have been worth it. Thanks for the consideration.
Thank you.
And
Anyone else?
I wanted to add that we will have registered nurses as well as LVNs and medical assistants with us to help really educate the family members on how to use this, what's appropriate storage for it, and whatnot, and what have you. So, thank you.
Anyone else going to speak? You want to come up to the mic? Any of you? No?
They said ditto.
All right. Well, thank you for what you're doing. Mr. Montgomery, is that something we might be able to do?
Yeah, we can just, I'll give her my card so we can connect.
Perfect. Thank you very much, and thank you for what you're doing.
Can I?
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Should turn this off.
Just real quick, I wanted to let you know we did have a collaboration with the Desert Healthcare District and ABC Recovery where we did some education throughout some of the recovery centers and shelters in the area. We can get that to you. Do you have that from the Desert Healthcare District? Yeah, we'll get it from them and send it over to you so you can see how we were doing that study as well. Yeah, no problem.
Mr. Catron?
No, I was just going to add that the 14 Rotary clubs in the Coachella Valley, 3 of them are actively doing the same thing you're doing.
The more the merrier.
Nationwide, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. Does anybody else wish to speak? Okay, with that, we'll adjourn at, yes, good. Sure.
And I apologize.
Nope.
I inadvertently omitted to bring this up because I think this will help the community as well. Is during my report, I inadvertently forgot this, and so prior to the festivals, myself, the city manager, and some of our directors, we did go to Empire Polo Grounds and we toured the grounds, and a lot of what we talked about were, the staffing and employment, traffic, water, energy, grass, dirt, sewage, and probably most importantly, public safety. And so those discussions are being had prior, during, and after, and they'll be ongoing. But I just want the community to understand that sometimes you may not see some of these things happening and some of the work, but we did go over to the polo grounds, and some of those concerns that are out there, they're being worked on. So I just wanted to share that we did go to the grounds prior. So.
Absolutely. There's a lot of work that goes in this. This plan's 6 months out. They start working on public safety, what they're going to do, traffic, everything that mitigates in it. So, and then we go through it. So thank you, Mr. Furman, for that. So we will adjourn in the memory of John Carmona Jr. And also the Coachella concert is right after this. So anybody. So we are going to adjourn this meeting in his honor. And then at 6:25.
Thank you, Mayor.